call when a mermaid and a witch and a police officer and a cop have a problem? Do you call a vampire to fix it? Do you call who do you call? Do you call a werewolf? I don't know.
Well, and
who's left?
Listener discretion advised. Adult language and mature content.
Welcome everybody to Queens
One Screen
Podcast. I don't know what we're doing.
We're really good at this.
It has been a week. Welcome back. Yes. We're back, everybody. We took a week off for Thanksgiving so we could spend some time with our families. I'm Keeley.
And I'm Jen.
It's so glad to see you guys again. Thanks for joining us. We are so happy to be here. We hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving with your families. So how was your week, Jen? We're going to talk about what this week?
Fun stuff only. This is going to be really fun. We're going to talk about Florida, your favorite subject.
Florida.
And then we're going to talk about one of the things that really connected you and I, which is a 90-Day Fiance spinoff.
Oh, yes.
Just pure gold. We're going back to our roots in this relationship, and I'm looking forward to digging apart these terrible people's terrible relationships. It's good for us to not only have something fun to talk about, but also just feel really good about ourselves. It's a nice little ego boost because while I may not be perfect, I am not anything like Gino or Jasmine.
Oh my goodness.
Right? Like at least I'm not doing that.
Although I will have to say Gino and Jasmine, they make the entire show with her, what she says through the show. I laugh so much. I'm just so happy she's there. I'm so happy.
So glad she's back.
She's there.
So glad. So glad she's back. So we'll be digging into that. And then we're also going to talk about another episode of Florida Man.
Yes.
But before we get into that, I want to go even deeper into my roots with you and talk about the big news of the week. Earth-shattering news. It really, this is the real reason we had to take a week off. Vanderpump Rules. Season 12 will be an all-new cast.
Yes.
None of the originals. All new people actually on Lisa Vanderpump's payroll.
Wow.
Will be on that. And I have mixed feelings about it. And I'll start off by saying I didn't know how they'd get a full season out of these people. There was no way that Ariana was going to come back. Right. She doesn't need it.
No.
And I just think that we've seen them bring in new people to Vanderpump Rules, and sometimes it works. Lala, give us some Lala.
Yes.
That went well. James Kennedy went great. But then there was that whole little mini section where it was, I think, Charlie, who doesn't eat pasta, had never had pasta before. And then there were two guys, Max and What's-His-Face and Dana, and everyone was like, why are they here? And it's like, well, because they work at the restaurant and we need a reason to actually have it still called Vanderpump.
Sure.
And so I don't know. It's hard to say, is this going to work? Is it not going to work? Maybe if we actually give the new cast a chance to stand on their own, maybe it will.
Right.
But I don't know. How did you feel when the news broke?
The first thing I thought of is, where is Sheena Shea in the corner crying? Because she's not going to be on the show. And did she have any thought? Did she have any response? Did she have an opinion? Did they ask her, Sheena, do you want to be on the show? I just felt so bad for Sheena. No, I'm kidding. Everybody, poor Sheena. I had mixed feelings. I'm thinking that it might be okay. Probably 50-50. Because like you said, you think about some of the cast, like you go back to, oh my gosh, season 1 with, what was her name? Lorelai with Jax.
Oh,
right. Yeah. And some of those people, right, that were there that you thought, okay, that's not so bad. And then, like you mentioned, Dana, Dana and Katie, they have their own little podcast for some reason.
I think she's hilarious.
Dana.
I think she's funny. Yeah.
I didn't like her on the show, but, she's doing really good now. So you have some people that do well and some people that just kind of, crash and burn. I don't know. I think it'll be okay. I'm going to watch it for sure.
Oh, 100%. It's good. It could be really bad, and I'm still going to watch it.
I think everybody's going to be watching it to see who they picked, how it's going to go.
But do you know what one I didn't watch? I couldn't get into Vanderpump Villa. Did you see that one where she had like a chateau? Mm-hmm. That one, I think I got an episode and a half, and I went, no, not for me. I got
3 episodes in and I turned it off. I really tried, and I couldn't do it. It was just boring. It was really boring, and I didn't like it. And I hate saying that about Lisa Vanderpump and her shows, but I didn't like it at all.
Me neither.
I thought it was boring. So I'm hoping... I mean, are they going to work at SUR? Is it what we're doing for this one?
Yeah. Okay. There's already like paparazzi photos of filming in the back alley again.
All right.
Which is exciting. I hope that they get Sheena and Lala on the Valley. Did that ever get officially announced? Or
I think I saw some little blurbs about that Sheena and Lala were going to be on the Valley. I hope that's real. I've read that that's real.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
That should be good. I'm hoping it's good.
Yeah. Here's my deep concern. After all is said and done, the other news of the week, Schwartz and Sandy's is closing.
Yeah.
It's officially done. What is Schwartz going to do? Because we know Sandoval is going to, just live his life however he's going to, just like building as much debt as he possibly can. But Schwartz, he's not going to be cute forever. I don't care what my husband says. Matt is a Schwartz apologist and I am not. I'm Team Katie. But I feel like he, in his mind, the person that is closest to him in the Bravo universe would be like Shep from Southern Charm.
Yes.
Remember? Here's the problem, though. Shep is from generational wealth, and he can just do whatever idiotic thing he wants to do. Tom Schwartz doesn't have a backup income. His family's from Florida. They have nothing. Nothing. And Schwartz is not... What does he have to fall back on? Is he just going to do Bravo cons for the rest of his life and hope to keep himself afloat that way?
I think his money will eventually run out. And he will,
if it hasn't already,
move into that shitty apartment, right, in WeHo, where they
started
again.
And he can then be on Vanderpump Rules again. It'll be perfect. That's what I want. I want that. I mean, I'm sorry, Schwartz, but that's what I want.
Horrible. I am not a Schwartz fan at all. I heard that Schwartz and Sandy's, that restaurant, was terrible anyway. I heard really bad reviews about it. So
I heard they made their own ketchup and it was like a cherry based ketchup.
Ooh,
like, that's not what no one wants that.
Ooh, bad.
Yuck. So, and I hope that Schwartz is okay when all of this is said and done. That's my main concern.
Oh,
beyond that, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll talk about it when it happens, but we should probably jump into, speaking of Schwartz being from Florida, into Florida Man episode 3.
Florida Man episode 3, Mermaids. That's what it's called, people. And it's about mermaids.
Mermaids.
Well,
it is about mermaids, but it's such a complicated, like, they just kept adding a new layer onto the story.
Mermaids, witches, policemen.
police corruption,
Fort
nudity.
Lauderdale, Florida, people. Yes, that's where.
So mermaid shows are a thing in Florida. There's several of them. The one that it's based around for this specific episode, it's like a bar and restaurant that has all of these windows that you look through and you see the mermaids, who are these women, all incredibly beautiful, very done up, and they're swimming and they're putting on a show, and there's child-friendly shows, and then they do adults-only shows, and it's like a burlesque thing, which I've not been to, but I would go.
Sure, I would go.
Would you come to Florida to go do that?
No. No.
Where else are they doing it?
I don't.
They're not doing it anywhere else.
Nowhere.
Probably nowhere.
Of course not.
But there's a lot of places that do that. And we have friends that have taken their kids to go see it. I just haven't had. My boys are not mermaid obsessed, so we have not had the reason to make that a point of somewhere to go visit. But I would 100%. Those tails, they have these silicone tails that they actually swim in. And you have to be specially, like, you have to learn how to do that. It's really, really difficult.
Yes. I'm sure you would drown. If you cannot swim in those tails, I'm sure they're extraordinarily heavy. You would absolutely drown if you didn't know how to swim in those things. But the actresses that they have playing these women is so Anna Faris plays Whitney. So one of the mermaids at the mermaid bar, and then Mia, the other is played by Mary Ellis. So she's an actress from Sunny in Philadelphia, if you know
she
that
played the
show.
waitress.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
she's
they
hilarious.
Are so funny.
I appreciate that they just went, again, it's very much Drunk History where they're reenacting. It's that. And they went so in. They were like, we are going to be these characters. They went full force in. And they're mermaids. And they're these mermaids who are doing these shows, which is a very specific kind of community of women, I assume. And as all service industry workplaces, I think it's probably closest to probably the back room of a strip club.
Sure.
Right? They're all performers. So I'm assuming it's probably like that. And so, of course, there's drama and there's cliques and text message groups that offend someone. So as that all happens naturally, and we can all assume there's no direct details of anything, but then this rift happens between these two mermaids, and Mia, who was the kind of more established mermaid, starts picking on Whitney, the new mermaid, and it gets so bad that someone gets shoved, and I think someone gets called the C word. All that goes down, and Mia gets fired.
Yes.
And that really upset Mia because she had felt like she had really been like the mother hen to that mermaid group. Whitney finally, after being bullied so bad by Mia, everything's better. She buys a house in Fort Lauderdale, which they're filming her when the actual Mia's being interviewed. I think that's probably the house, right?
Yes.
It's gorgeous and giant. I was like, what do I need to do to become a mermaid? I need mermaid money.
Right.
Mermaid money looks awesome. So she buys this beautiful house and she's living there with her husband or fiance or whatever. And then all of a sudden the house next door goes up for sale. And who moves in?
Yes.
But Mia.
Yes.
And Mia says it was just an accident. Just a weird coincidence. She found how she liked it. And I can almost believe that. Mia is married to this guy, and you'd think that maybe they're going to kind of ignore each other, but then weird stuff starts happening because Mia is a practicing witch.
Yep.
And so is her husband. And she and her husband are doing ceremonies in their backyard, rituals, and they tend to be naked. What's so great about it is as they're doing the reenactments, she's covered in blood. They all look incredible. These two women look so good. I want to have these giant wigs and big headpieces. Her husband's in a thong, like a leather thong, and they're sacrificing chickens and blood's going everywhere. And then poor Anna Faris is in her house, terrified. Oh.
And Whitney has, security cameras in her house,
Mm-hmm.
On the outside of her house, and she can watch them right in their backyard on these cameras. And then she sees, Mia's husband putting tape over the cameras, and all of these things are going on, right, between the two houses.
Obviously, there's bad blood.
Yes.
But I do feel that he should have gone and said, hey, that's right in our backyard. We don't want you looking at us.
Let's point it over here.
Let's point it over here. And that's the correct neighborly thing to do. But when a witch and a mermaid have a problem, communication isn't going to happen, I guess.
No.
So he is 100% crossing the line because then he's taping the camera and knocking stuff down with a rake over the fence, which is trespassing and not okay.
Sure.
And
he should know that. He's a police officer.
There you go. He's not just a police officer. He's a sheriff for Broward County.
Yeah.
He's a big deal. And so Whitney had finally broken down and gone, I have to go to the police. The police are like, oh my gosh, this is terrible.
Yeah.
But do they do anything?
Nope.
No. And it gets worse and worse, and they're taunting her, and Mia is doing spells. I don't know. Have you ever had a neighbor bad enough that you would consider putting spells on them?
No, I've been so lucky with all my neighbors. My neighbors have always been so great. I've never really had a bad neighbor. I've never had to experience that at all. That would just be so terrible. I can't imagine that. Poor Whitney, she said she had 1.5 years of that. That's so terrible. She said she turned her house into an Airbnb and she put up, these LED purple lights, and, they didn't like it. She had some footage of them walking across in her, driveway in her front yard, screaming obscenities at her and calling her all kinds of terrible profanity names and putting all these horrible things on Facebook and social media, doing all these horrible things to her. And she finally contacted an attorney to try and get something done about it. And her attorney finally came up with the information that the police officer, so Mia's husband, had searched Whitney's private personal information, like her background. And apparently,
they kept telling her, you're a criminal, you're a felon. And she's like, they're bringing up all these things from my past. She was 18 and she got a charge for pot, which now in Florida, totally illegal. But back then it wasn't. And, well, it's not totally legal. It's like medical or whatever. But again, my brother-in-law got his clearance from a gynecologist. So how medical, what are the gateways to entry there? Not much. But she's like, how did they know this? Well, he's a sheriff and he pulled out her information in a way that's not okay. It's an abuse of power. So they start looking into it, and it turns out not only did the witch look up information on poor Whitney the mermaid, they looked up all the mermaids. All the mermaids that have been at the mermaid show, all of their stuff had been pulled, and that's a big deal, so they're going to make him stop. Which, sure, he kind of... I don't think much happened. I think it was just enough that he got a paid suspension for a week or something.
Yep. He got 5 days without pay, and that was it.
That's there you go.
All the sanction that he got. I mean, I don't know. Who do you call when a mermaid and a witch and a police officer and a cop have a problem? Do you call a vampire to fix it? Do you call? Who do you call? Do you call a werewolf? I don't know.
Well, and
who's left?
As a Florida resident, I would say that in general, I would say my confidence in the Florida justice system is a little shaken when I know that, it's run by a witch married to a mermaid.
Right.
That doesn't make me feel like, this will be a logical conversation that I'm going to have with this law enforcement
That's
officer.
Amazing.
And everyone goes, yeah, he's fine. Don't worry about him. And you're like,
it's not a big deal.
That's an authority figure. Oh, God.
That was
Florida police officers are Florida people, too.
Of course they are. They have needs, right? They need to...
What's fun about it is that at the end of the episode, they all blame Florida because they moved here and then stuff got weird and then they're going to leave. No, I think you were weird and you came here.
Yeah.
And they found the edge of too weird and decided to go back. So those Florida people are actually from other states and are going to take their weirdness right back out.
Absolutely. See you later.
They may not have been Boise.
Perfectly fine.
Oh.
Yeah, well,
your next neighbor is going to be a witch mermaid.
A witch mermaid. Sure.
Mermaid.
That'd be fine.
But that show, just that episode, I don't know. I don't think anything's going to be as good as Gator.
Have you watched the rest of the...
No, not yet. Not yet.
Okay, well, I have. Spoiler alert. The next episode is called Saucy. That is pretty darn good, and I can't wait to talk about it. So I think it's right up there with Gator. I will tell you right now.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Saucy.
Saucy is quite good. It is. I'm very excited to talk about that one.
Maybe I'll do that tonight.
Okay, you should.
Everyone go watch that tonight, and then we'll all talk about it together.
So good.
Now we should get into our 90 Day Fiance Last Resort.
Reality TV.
It's
so good.
This is what I was waiting for. Mm-hmm. This is the garbage. We always say trash or smash. It's all trash this week, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's such trash. Everyone is trash. I love it so much. And the premise of this show, this is the second season, they take all of these couples from the different versions of 90 Day Fiancé, and they've got, I don't even know how many couples I'll have to count it out. But 6 couples. That doesn't even feel like that many, but everybody's such a huge personality that it's insane. They are all married. This is their last resort because their marriages aren't going well.
Yes.
There are problems and to different degrees, but for the most part, worse than anyone I know in real life going through shit. And they're at this beautiful place in Arizona. They're all staying at a resort, and they will all be receiving therapy, unconventional therapy, sex therapy, and I think talk and behavioral therapy as well, which really we need a lot more of that for all of them over the course of 3 weeks. So we're going to just kind of watch them do this. And I mean, let's start with my very favorites, Gino and Jasmine.
And may I just say 3 weeks is nearly not enough for these people. I have been to therapy. 3 weeks is not enough. But Gino, oh my gosh, Gino and Jasmine, like I said before, I love them so much. They, just this first episode, they make the show. I don't even know. I'm stumbling over my words.
Well, I've referenced this show before, a different show called I Think You Should Leave. And if you watch Gino as a Tim Robinson character, he's wearing a fedora. He doesn't have a chin. He's always kind of frowning and looking like a dog that you just smacked its butt and put its nose in the pee puddle that it made. That's how he looks all the time.
Yes.
And then you have Jasmine, she's from Panama, right?
Yes.
She looks like a blow-up doll.
Yes.
He sent her money before she moved to the U.S. to marry him. He sent her money for a wedding gown, and she spent it on getting her butt done.
Yes.
She's got everything done. And she looks great if your goal is to be a blow-up doll. Her boobs high and tight, great butt. I mean, she got her money's worth. She's got big lips. I think she's pretty. She's got great style, and she is cuckoo pajamas. Just nuts. They're not doing well. Their marriage is falling apart. And if you've watched any of the show, then you know all the reasons, but I don't understand how they ever got together other than the fact that he was paying for things for her.
Yeah. She just wants affection. She doesn't get affection from Gino. And he says all they do is fight, which you see that clearly. She says they haven't had sex in 8 months. He says that she goes out for the evening, spends the night somewhere, and he has no idea where she is, and then tells him the next day, I guess, wherever she was. And that,
or won't tell him,
or
she'll say I was with a friend, and won't say anything else.
Yeah, that's what they tell the therapist why they're there. And then everybody is super judgy, right? Like, oh my gosh, that's awful, right? You know, and stuff like that. So, and then you see them, you know, in their hotel room, and they immediately start to fight. That's just what they do. They can't have a conversation without arguing about something. I mean, even watching them push their luggage into the room, poor Gino can't even see around it.
So, I mean, they've got one of those bellhop little trolleys, and it's literally stacked all the way to the top, and then there's more on top of it. And she's like, oh, look at how beautiful everything is. And he's like struggling, trying to get it in. Yeah. She's like, don't drop it. And then he's like, can you help me? And she's like, I held the door open. And then she drops the door. She's like, this is good. Just extreme ADHD. She can't hold the door open to help him try and get any of this luggage in. And then they get into the fight immediately. And what I liked about it, she's like, don't ask me questions you don't want the answer to.
Yeah. I don't know what to think about them, because I would write down my thoughts about each couple, like, you know, they're a terrible couple, or, you know, I think they're really sweet together, or, you know, I think they'll make it, or something like that. And I never know what to think about Gino and Jasmine. Sometimes I think they're good together, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know why they're together.
I am on team I have no idea why they're together. I don't think there's anyone that will ever give her enough constant affection. Yeah. And what's funny is because she's hot and he is not.
No.
His main style choice is a fedora. It's not great. He dresses like a grandpa and in oversized clothes. It's not good. I think that what's so interesting about it is when they were first getting together, she was like, well, I want to be with Gino because he's much less likely to cheat on me because he's not as good looking. Mm-hmm. He's not good looking enough to cheat on me. God. And she'll just say that. She'll say it to his face. It's just not a healthy communicating dynamic. It's bad. They just scream at each other. I don't think they should be together. I would watch a show just the two of them putzing around and her treating him like shit because she's so funny.
Oh my gosh.
She doesn't mean to be.
No. Yes.
She's not trying. It's just hilarious.
But so
it's
funny.
Sad. It's such a sad dynamic.
No, I love her. Like, she meets Brandon and Julia, and she says, Brandon has the personality of a fart.
Yeah.
What? Who says that? What? Who thinks that?
Oh, what? Poor Brandon and Julia. Okay, so Brandon and Julia are an interesting couple. They are from a while back, 90 Day Fiancé. Brandon is from Virginia. Sweet little, very conservative country boy. Julia is from the Ukraine, and they were very, very young when they got together, and she is a salsa dancer, and she's got this, I think she sparkles. I just really like Julia, and he moves her to the United States on the K-1 visa and moves her in with his parents, who his mom did not want to cut the cord ever with her son. That was go back and watch that season because it was great.
Kiss of
It was
death
so uncomfortable.
Is what that was.
So uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The mom is insane. She's got a really intense perm. we haven't seen her yet, but you get little sneak peeks of the season, and they do a video conference, and I'm excited for that to come eventually. I remember thinking Julia from the Ukraine is so fun and happy, and she's coming into the resort just excited, and she's like, yeah, we have some things, but like, let's enjoy this vacation. She's just excited to be there. And he's like, yeah, we've got to really sort this out. And their big issue is he wants to have kids.
Yes.
And she has changed her mind. Originally, they wanted to have kids together.
Yep.
And she's like, I don't think I do anymore. And that, again, another problem with their sex life.
Yeah.
That's really changed that dynamic, when before I think they had been pretty strong in that department. And now he's like, I want to start trying to have kids. And she's like, no, I don't want to do that. And if you're trying to have kids with me, I'm not trying to have sex with you.
Yeah.
Ugh. Which is so sad, I think, to not be on the same page with that when you had originally been. So I can see both sides of it. I'm 100%, it's her body. She decides what they're going to do. If they're going to have a child together, that's on her terms. But at the same time, he's mourning that he isn't having the family that he had always envisioned with her, that they had talked about doing. So I don't know where do you see that?
Well, I think intimacy is really important, and to not have intimacy and having a baby, I think, are two completely separate issues.
Oh, yeah.
And you can have intimacy without, right, having, I guess, penetration to make a baby, right? And she seems to be withholding all of it from him.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel bad for him, because they seem to be really loving towards each other. And I feel bad for him because, she doesn't quite understand what I just said about that part, that she can give him some sort of intimacy without having that penetration to make a baby. And they can work on their baby stuff separately from the whole sex part of it, I think. But they still need to have some sort of intimacy as a couple to feel, close to one another, to feel like a couple.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just feel bad. And of course, if she's changed her mind, I think she's changed her mind because she's scared, like she said, she's homesick. I don't know. I think she still wants to be a mom and have kids, but I think she's homesick. I don't necessarily believe her that she doesn't want to have kids. I think she's just homesick right now.
I think that she references getting really ill and him not really being there for her in the way that she needed that. And honestly, what a great opportunity for her to see, all right, what can I expect out of him if this is what the road we go down? And honestly, it's a lot of women, I think, are this day and age have higher expectations for what a partner is because, women are working full-time jobs and raising a family. And in a lot of cases, guys are working full-time jobs. They're not necessarily carrying all of that. Not an issue in my house. But
yeah,
it's definite, and you're seeing it over and over again. And he was raised in this very traditional upbringing, and I think you kind of see that in him. So he's like, I want to have kids. And okay, but do you want to be a father? Like, do you want to be in charge of caring for these kids as an equal partner in that process? And I think she saw that happen, and I think she went, oh, fuck. This is not going to go how I thought it was going to go.
You're talking like gender roles, like that.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I mean.
See that. Yeah.
And she's clearly very much missing her family and very homesick. And, her family's in Ukraine, so that's a whole extra layer of stress.
Yeah.
But, I feel like of all the couples, they're the couple that I would root for to get this figured out.
Yeah. I think they would recommit to each other at the end, because at the end there's a recommitment ceremony where they basically kind of have another wedding-ish at the
They're
end.
They're all working towards, at the end, coming back together and going like, yes. But again, this is last resort. And this is the make or break. And I think the only couple that's not married that's there is Natalie and Josh. She is an insane person. Oh my God. How have they continued to be together for 3 years even on and off? Why would it ever go back on again? Josh has a weird shaped head, but makes a lot of money. And I think he's got like an okay body. How shallow is Jen Cheney? Very.
I wrote the most patient man on earth.
I mean, where does he find it? Where do you find it? Because she is so needy. And, every once in a while, I'll play the game where you're like, I don't feel like, I don't think this looks good. And then, Matt will be like, oh, you look so great. And I'll be like, oh, thank you. And then you do the thing where they say something not quite right and it goes, so you think I'm fat? And you don't really believe it, but like you're just being a butthead. Natalie plays those games constantly.
Yes.
She will always say something fishing for a compliment. It is so love bomby, so over the top, and she has such high expectations for him. And you're like, what the hell is he doing? And he starts off the trip telling us about he's dealing with some heavy, heavy stuff. His son was in a horrific car accident that his friend was driving and his friend died, and his son lost his best friend and a leg.
Yeah.
His son lost a leg. As a parent, that's so much bandwidth just to have to process, and then to be there for your child and make sure your child is going to be able to recover what their life and reformat what they see for their future. And he's going through all of this. And then he's also got Natalie. And he said that Natalie was very supportive during that time. I can't even imagine that with what we've seen from her in the past.
Yeah, I wonder if it were true that she was super supportive because he was so needy. I don't know how to explain it. He needed her, and she saw that and knew he wasn't going anywhere, and so was able to, she knew he was stuck almost because he had this horrible tragedy, and this tragedy was going to take a while to deal with, and he wouldn't have to travel, or he wouldn't have to go to do these work functions. He wouldn't have to whatever he normally does. And so she had him, right? She had him where she wanted him. He was in one spot, so she could be there with him. And it came across as her being, I guess, supportive. Do you know what I'm saying?
So she's like his rock, but it's really just that he doesn't have anywhere to go.
Yes.
She's like, no, I've corralled you.
Yes.
You're corralled in right now. And
cornered.
Look at him here, and I'm here. Yeah, so she's getting all her needs met because he's not doing anything else. She's there to take care of him.
Yes.
Although, now he did live in LA. Now he lives in Arizona. And she doesn't know where he lives in Arizona. She knows that the town that he lives in, but she's like, ooh, what direction is it in? I love geography. And you're like, okay, sure. You're just trying to find his house. But then they're going into the beautiful resort, and he had actually been at that resort before. And the lady that's checking them in is like, oh, have you stayed here before? And he's like, yeah, I've been here before. And immediately Natalie's like, who are you here with? Who is that? And he's like, by myself. It's close to the airport. Which, bullshit. But whatever. Yeah. And then Natalie turns to the girl at the front desk and is like, we should exchange information in case he wants to come here and stay here by himself again. And you're like, did you just threaten the girl at the front desk, and you can just see her, the front desk girl is terrified. Oh, there's something about the balls to say that shit just to a stranger that you have to respect about Natalie. There's enough of just I'm main character energy / totally fucking insane. That is, she's TV gold. Oh. She is fun to watch.
She's psychopathy, like, with blonde hair. I mean, they need to study her. Oh yeah, for sure.
The other thing about it, and maybe it's because I do feel extra cute today, she and I are the same age, and I was shocked to see that, because I was like, Matt, can you believe she and I are the same age? And he was like, oh, you do not look as old as her. And I was like, thank you.
That's right.
Thanks.
That's right, buddy.
I do feel cute today. But yeah, she's insane. And her and Julia have had issues before, because Julia, going back, Julia from the Ukraine got married and moved to the US for very genuine reasons. I think she genuinely loves him. Whereas Natalie clearly is here for fantasy / green card. And everyone sees it. And she's like, you're making us look bad. You're making Eastern European women look bad. And Natalie didn't take that criticism well.
Yes.
But they were going to make up, and instead Natalie was like, Julia, it looks like you've put on weight.
Asked her if she was pregnant and told her she was fat. Yes.
Oh, God.
That was great. And poor Julia was very gracious and just skipped right over that and said, I just don't want to start out on a bad note. I just want to be friends, and
let's just move through this.
Move on. She was so sweet.
I liked that she walked in and was like, I'm going to squash this beef. Yep. We've got bigger fish to fry. Yep. Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
It was good. But I do like the couples that almost all of them are like, why are these two people here? These people are not a couple. Why they're not married? Why are they here? And almost every single one of them are like, Josh has DM'd this person. Josh, and then Sophie pipes up and says, Josh has DM'd me.
And asked me to go visit him in Vegas.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
Yeah, Sophie and Rob are there. And
Rob the knob.
I will tell you right now that I detested Rob so much when they had their season. I like him right now. She's looking at me. Everybody, she is looking at me like... No, I'm going to come through the screen and bop you on the head.
Who are you?
I know, right? I know. Why? Why am I liking him? I am liking him. I feel like he has softened. Something has happened, and he has softened. He keeps saying, I made mistakes 2 years ago. Whatever. I'm pretty sure it's probably cheated or something happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do research. I didn't look it up to see all of the nonsense.
He was sexting.
And for some reason, he seems, like I said, soft around the edges. He seems more into her and more attentive to her than he did on the show. He was horrible to her in their season on the show. And I really detested watching him. I really wanted her to just call it with him. And I really like watching them, just the 1-2 hours that we saw, and she said all this stuff about Josh, and Rob said, yeah, so Sophie told me about the DMs. I saw them. We talked about it. And I'm like, wow, good for them. They have this...
I mean, he seemed like he's matured.
Yes.
He has definitely matured. You are 100% correct.
What?
They have gotten married since their season and are now living in Texas, I guess.
Yes.
But it sounds like their issue is that he did make mistakes in the past, and she has such severe trust issues with him, and it seems like she is not moved on. Yeah. She is not, they have not gone through it. They have not, and it seems like he's tried to take accountability, and it seems like he's establishing their relationship in their home while she's still kind of stuck in the past. Even though they're going through the motions, she's emotionally not going through. And so she just keeps taking him right back to square one. So I do think that she has some of the responsibility of helping move forward in this. You have to, if you're going to stay with him, you've got to move on. I'm not saying that it's okay what he did, but you can't punish him for the rest of your lives for that. Like, you have to want to move through. And it seems like she's like, well, I still have trust issues. And it's like, well, I don't know. I'm interested to see if they can figure it out, because it sounds like she's ready to go over something that happened 2 years ago that he's tried to take accountability for. And so then that's kind of on her.
I don't know. You can't play that game for so long. But there was a little clip where he says, you know, there's something, but she did something. I don't know what that is.
Oh.
Is she sexting or she cheated? But something happened with her that he wants to come out. So I don't know what that is. I can't wait for that to come out. But, you know, the female can't hold on to you cheated. The whole, you just can't. I don't agree with that, right? You've got to either forgive and move on. It doesn't mean you have to, you know, forget about it. But if you're going to be in that relationship, we have to move on. And if you don't, then you're not in that relationship. That's how I feel, right? You pick one.
Yeah.
You pick one. You're either in that relationship and you don't forgive and that's it. You're gone. Or you stay and you forgive and we're moving on, right? So I don't know. But yeah, I'm liking him so far. Hopefully he won't fuck it up. But
he does seem like he's matured. I think maybe it's that his hair is better. I'm not sure. He's got great hair. He's got really good hair. And he's a good-looking dude. She looks great. She looks so good with dark hair. Her body is banging. Again, it's another woman withholding intimacy.
Yes.
So far, it's all the women withholding intimacy other than the Gino and Jasmine situation. Jasmine just desperately wants to get laid, and Gino's like, no. And his fedora.
Can I just tell you, when they open with Rob and Sophie, so Rob's rubbing Sophie with the lotion, the sun tanning lotion.
She's like laying on her stomach and her butt's up in the air, and she's got a great butt.
Yes. I thought it was Gino and Jasmine. I didn't know it was Sophie. Her butt's so pretty. I thought, I thought it was Gino and Jasmine. I didn't know it was
Jasmine,
Sophie.
not her real butt. I think that's Sophie's real butt.
Yeah. Yeah.
It looks good.
Because she's 20 or 23. That's
something like that. Yeah.
That's what a 20-year-old butt looks like. So anyway, moving on.
Right.
Should we move on to Stacy and Florian? Oh, Jesus Christ. Blessed be the fruit, everybody. I mean, come on. These two. I don't even know where to begin with these two. I mean.
So Stacy is the slightly more normal of the two twins.
You think?
Right?
Well.
Between her and Darcy.
Yeah, because Darcy, was on the other, with, what was his name? I'm blanking on his name, Darcy, and he was.
I can't remember either, but he was from the Netherlands or something.
Yeah.
He was gorgeous, but they just.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, none of her relationships ever work out, and they're always insane. But these women look like they're in a music video, like they're in a Real Housewives of New Jersey music video. There's so much work done. She looks like a Jim Henson character. She's had so much work done. I'm not even saying that it looks bad. It just doesn't look like a real human face anymore. But always expensive, covered in bedazzled everything, but you know that it cost a lot of money. Those women make a lot of money working in fashion the way that they do. So good for them. She doesn't need him.
No.
But for some reason, they're so interested in these guys that I don't think have any real interest in who they are as people.
No, they need to have someone to boss around at all times. And not even to flirtatiously boss around. They just need someone to yell at all the time. She's so mean to him. She's not kind to him. She's not sweet, supportive, loving, tender, anything. She's not asking him. She's just telling him. I mean, any of those things, all of these couples, I mean, even Stacy is just horrible to this Florian guy. And he is horrible right back to her. And half the time he looks at her and is like, I have no idea what is going on or what you're even talking about.
He is like a human man version of the little dogs that they carry in a purse.
Yes.
Right? You are an accessory.
Yes.
And when you are not behaving correctly as an accessory, then she is going to rip you apart. And then she's going to act like she's the one that's abused.
Yes.
Well, they live in Miami and he's going out at night. And it's like, well, he's like 30.
Of course.
And he's a model. Out. That's what else is he going to do? It seems like they're not terribly connected. And he is very dismissive of her.
Yes.
Which I part of me is like, I get it, but also, it's just it's uncomfortable watching them together because there's no even pretending to have care for the other as a human being. She is very upset because he came home with makeup on his shirt. And he's like, whatever. People give you a hug. It is Miami. If they're in South Beach, you put on your fake tanner all over, you're bronzing your body. He's like, somebody give me a hug. Like, I didn't really think one way or the other about it. And she has held on to that. That is a bone that she is not going to drop. She is so stuck on it. I think she just wants to be upset.
I agree. They had a video. What'd you think of the video? She had a video that they showed of the makeup on the white shirt. I had a hard time seeing it. I didn't.
He could have spilled some soup on it.
It's see it.
It wasn't like lipstick on the collar.
No. It was very faint. It was either a yellow or a very faint tan. I couldn't see it at all.
No.
They're a terrible couple. That's what I wrote down in my notes. They're terrible. They shouldn't be
together.
No.
They shouldn't be together.
I also noticed that he kept being drawn to Ariella, to Ari, the whole time. And I don't know if it's her age or her looks or, she's vulnerable or whatever, or he's trying to help her. But yeah, he was doing a lot of that with her.
He was all over with her. He was comforted. The way that he was with Stacey, where he pretends she's not there or he dismisses her. And then with Ari, he's in her face and he's rubbing her back and he's like, you're a great mom.
Yes.
And, and you're like,
what is that?
Who is this man? Because that's not who we saw with Stacey at all.
Yes.
Ari.
Oh, Ari and Benny. Yeah.
So I've only seen part of one season with them. That was when they were living in Morocco with Benny's.
Ethiopia. Oh, okay.
Is it Ethiopia?
Okay.
Yeah.
One of them. Yeah.
Yeah. One of them. But his family was there, but they had their own house and she's financing everything.
Yes.
Or her parents are financing everything. And he was kind of in and out and maybe had cheated on her, but then also she's bringing her ex-husband.
Oh, yeah.
That was all super weird.
So awkward.
I don't care for her at all. I cannot find her redeeming qualities. Again, a very main character energy, but with Natalie's putting on a show at all times, and she's living in her fantasy world where she's like a starlet and everyone thinks she's beautiful. The confidence is, and she's putting on an act at all times, but at least it's interesting. Whereas Ari is just unapologetically so self-centered and only sees herself, and she's like, I'm super intelligent and I'm smarter than everyone and I'm better than everyone and I'm such a victim in this. And I don't know. I don't totally know what Benny's doing, and I'm sure he's probably cheated on her, but all she wants to do is get everyone to see him. She wants everyone to see Benny and go, you're a piece of shit. She wants everyone to be on her side. She has no interest in fixing things. She wants to destroy him, in my opinion. Look what he did. Are you going to admit that you did this? Are you going to tell everyone what you've done? And he's like, give me my social media. And oh, Benny. So he's living in Las Vegas as like a stunt performer now, which very cool. She is holding his social media hostage. It's a weird thing where he's just begging for access to social media and she's like, tell everyone you cheated on me. They're just in a fight over who's gonna back down first. It has nothing to do with actually making things better, and it's just sad. And she was so ready to just burn the world down about this and how everyone needs to see it from her point of view. That, like, he probably is a shitty partner and not a present dad and sucks ass, but I'm almost on his side because I hate her so much.
Yeah.
I don't know. What is your feeling on it?
Here's my thing. I don't love her. I don't necessarily love him either. Their whole season, I didn't quite understand. I thought she was kind of irresponsible, right? You go and do this whole thing in Africa, 2 weeks later we get pregnant with a person that we have no idea who he is. I just think all of that is super irresponsible. Whatever that is, right now you have this person that's in your life the rest of your life because it is the father of your child. Right now you have this family in your life. You can't do anything about it because now you've made a baby. You have to deal with this family. You have to deal with this person. They tried to be together, right, in their season. She wasn't great. He didn't make it easy for her either. His family didn't make it easy for her. She was just kind of a whiny brat, I thought, the whole time in her season. That right now, this social media thing is really weird, I will say. She
changed all of the passwords.
Yeah.
So he has no access. She was working as his manager, basically agent manager. That's his job.
Yeah.
And then he was being a little sneak with it and using it to talk to girls.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
So at some point in their relationship, they had to have been on a good level, right? To her be his manager, her to run his social media, right? They're on some sort of good level. I was putting together anyway, I think, for him to have her do that or her to say, I'll do this for you. That's what I thought. And then they moved to Las Vegas, I figured, right? And he's a performer in Las Vegas. He comes to the United States is what they wanted. And then I thought it was really strange that now she's back in Ethiopia with the baby. And
I thought she was in Jersey.
I thought she was in Jersey. She said she moved away from him back to Ethiopia with the baby. He's still in Las Vegas, which I think is very, very strange. So she's claiming that he has been cheating on her, like you said, through this social media stuff. She's holding it hostage. I don't, like I said in the beginning, I don't particularly care for her. I think she's kind of bratty. Here's the thing. As someone in my personal life who has had a past where my first husband cheated on me with 4 different women, not at the same time, people, but 4 different women.
Oh.
This person, I had a child with him and I loved him so deeply that I thought my love would save our relationship. I thought the fact that I loved him, not the fact that he didn't love me, but I believe the fact that I loved him would be enough for our relationship. And so, you know, I understand her being clouded, and I understand her being angry, and I understand what she's doing right now. And I understand her wanting to be heard and her wanting people to affirm how she feels. I understand what she's presenting to the world, her saying, look at what I'm doing. I want everybody to see this. I want everybody to see how mad I am. I want everybody to see what he's doing. I understand her feelings because everybody says that the female is crazy, and they think that the female is dramatic, the female is hysterical, and that for some reason the female has done something wrong for the male to go and do what he did. And they always blame the female. And I don't know their relationship. I'm not saying that's what happened in my relationship. But people did blame me for what my husband did. I blamed myself in the beginning. And so I see what she's doing. And so I don't not like her. But I thought she was a brat in the beginning before all of this. And so I don't necessarily like that she's holding his social media hostage. I think she should not do that.
Yeah,
but
I hadn't thought of it the way that you just put it, as far as she's in it right now.
Yeah.
So is she processing in a healthy manner? No, of course not. I think maybe as an outsider, as I'm watching this, I'm frustrated by her because we had talked about this earlier with Sophie. If you're upset that he cheated, you need to decide this is over. It seems like she's very comfortable. She's saying she doesn't want it to be over, but she's acting like, I will burn this to the ground. And I guess because she's in such turmoil right now, that's why she's saying it. I think the other side that drove me nuts is that she's like, if anyone wants any advice on getting therapy, you are acting like a crazy person right now, and then you're telling everyone that you're so good at therapy.
Yeah.
Because you've had so much of it. Aren't her parents therapists or something like that?
I think so. Doctors or something.
And you're just like, oh, stop it. You're not in a place to give anyone advice right now. You are in the thick of it. That's enough.
Yeah, she's not processing right now, and she just wants to be heard. I wanted to be heard. I wanted to be seen. Everybody saw my ex. That's what everybody saw. They didn't see me, and I wanted people to see me, and that's what I see from her, and that's why she's acting out. She's acting crazy. She's over the top with everything. That's what I see from her. And him calling her a fucking liar in front of people is not helping things, right? In front of the therapists. I didn't like that. I was
surprised that he just, this is where we're coming from. They're just like, fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't think they're going to do a recommitment ceremony at the end. I don't think so. I mean, if they're living on separate continents at this point, I think it's over between the two of them. I think it should be over between the two of them. They really hate each other. But they both definitely need to it's hard to come to that place when you love someone so much to say, it's done. I'm over. I can't do this anymore. So she needs to come to that and have someone help her. So,
I mean, to live in that, hopefully this whole thing just ideally will help her process it so that she can go back to her son and be more stable, because where she's at right now, so uncomfortable.
It's yikes.
So bad. So bad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Who else is there?
No, that's it. That's
is that
all
everybody?
of them.
That's all of them. The therapist are the sex therapist was the therapist from last time.
Yes.
But the other two, are they new?
They're new. Yeah, they're not from last time.
Yeah. So I think that this should be interesting. I like that they've really hit home that they're doing, traditional talk therapy and some unconventional therapy as well as sex therapy. The weird activities that everyone's going to have to do. I'm really looking forward to seeing all of that. I don't think that anybody's going to recommit.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I would say maybe Julia and Brandon. Maybe them. Maybe they can sort this out. Maybe Rob, the Knob, and Sophie. But I don't think anybody else should. But who knows? 3 weeks, a lot can happen.
That's true. I think you're right. I think you're probably right. They're probably the only ones. I can get behind that. Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. Gino and Jasmine are never going to break up.
That's true too. I am.
They're going to say they're going to be constantly going back and forth.
Oh man, right? Oh yeah, she can't get away from that hat.
I want there to be I think you should leave bit that Tim Robinson does about him. I need a fedora. I need to get a fedora to do it. But he always just looks like a puppy that just shit in the corner and is getting yelled at about it. That's what he looks like to me all the time.
So funny. It's just so they talked about boobs. Her comment about the boobs with Josh and the boobs. Remember that?
Oh, they don't. Yes.
And Gino was like,
he doesn't look. He looks like there.
Yeah. Gino talked about his nipples or something like.
Yes.
Gino's like, I have
and he
nice nipples, or
I don't have that problem. No one's looking at mine, but I do have nice nipples. And she goes, he does have very total sincerity. There was no humor in it.
No.
Gino does have nice nipples.
Yes. I know.
I'm going to go back to one of the earlier seasons to see his nipples. I could probably Google it. What do Gino's nipples look like?
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine?
What constitutes a nice nipple?
I don't know. I don't think it's very big. I heard that big nipples are out and small nipples are in. So that's what I heard. I don't know if that's a thing. That's just what I heard.
And what makes a big nipple versus a small nipple? Is it ratio to the boob? Or is it just like once you hit 1.5 inches, that's too much?
Yeah.
Or 2 inches?
Ooh,
I need a ruler.
Gross. Yeah.
Well, everyone measure, and we'll talk about it next time.
That's the best sign off ever. Measure your nipples. We'll see you next week.
Next week, everybody.
Next week, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.